What's going on, guys? It's Al King, aka Big Al, and this is episode 10 of Throne Breaks here on Titan TV. And it's been a wild week since we've last spoke. A real-life unicorn has been spotted in the real world. Stay tuned for that. What do I mean by that? Stay tuned. Also, the man behind Titan TV himself, the CEO, the owner, whatever you want to call him, man, the myth, the legend of Titan Media Collective, Nick Brose joins me for an interview. We talk everything hobby that you're probably wondering, all the questions he had. I asked him a couple questions. He fired off a bunch of questions to me about how to get into the hobby, what it means, how do I even start? I have a collection. What do I look through? How do I know what's worth what? And all that in that interview. So stay tuned for that as well. Again, episode 10, Throne Breaks. Stick around. Hey, what's going on, guys? I got Nick Brose, aka the man behind Titan Media Collective, aka the man behind why I'm even doing this, aka the man who said, "You can do it. Go do it." What's up, Nick? Thanks for hanging out and joining me.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm super excited. Editing the shows every week, I'm itching to get on, so glad to finally be on this side of it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to edit this too.
Spoiler alert. I'm actually on both sides of it, so.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. I like the Brew Crew get up. Why full Brew Crew deck? Why are you a Brewers fan?
It's funny because I'm all Chicago except for baseball. My dad was into sports. He's mainly a football guy. He's a diehard Bears fan, like lives, breathes the Bears. But they made the mistake of taking me to a couple Brewers games when I was younger because that was the stadium we lived closest to. And I just kind of fell in love with it. And baseball's always been my number one sport. So as I kind of started to get more into baseball, I stuck with the Brewers. And, I'm no fair weather fan. I stick with my team. And, despite my dad's wishes for me to be a Cubs fan, I just stuck it out with the Brewers.
That's funny. I'm kind of similar where I'm California teams for most sports, but baseball I'm Guardians, aka the team formerly known as the Indians.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of the same way where it makes no sense, like California everything and then a team in Cleveland.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense, but I understand, and we stick it out, right? The Guardians or Indians, they can have some bad years, but I'm still a fan. Same with the Brewers.
And I'm not so cold-hearted that, like, when the Cubs went to the World Series, I rooted for them because, my dad's team. And though normally I would hate the Cubs and I hate them because they're our rivals, I'm still a good sport when it comes down to things like that. I like to see our division succeed.
If memory serves me right, the Cubs beat the Indians.
Was that? Yeah, I think you're right.
I am right.
Yeah, you would know, I guess.
It still stings. It still stings for sure. Dude, and the Brewers Cup. Look at you.
And the Brewers Cup. This was a nice little Christmas gift that I got.
I love it. All right, so going into the hobby, right? I know you've been interested in everything. Like you said, you're editing it, and you're like, man, I'm fascinated by this stuff. Have you collected before? Are you still currently collecting? What did you collect? What do you have? All the hobby questions.
Yeah, so, I used to collect baseball cards. I used to collect cards of all kinds. I was big into Pokemon. That was a big one. I still, to this day, give my parents a bunch of crap because they sold my Pokemon card collection at a garage sale for probably 10 cents. And we used to have...
Brutal.
First edition, because, when that stuff came out, I was still a kid. So that was, first edition holographic Charizards, things that are now selling for thousands and thousands of dollars. We used to go down to Florida and there was this shop that sold these really cool, like they were the Japanese ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we collect a bunch of those and they sold all of those. So now every time something pops up, like on Facebook or anything, I send it to my mom, like, I could be retired right now. We could all be retired. And you sold it away for pennies on the dollar.
I wouldn't be having to edit Throne Breaks episodes if I still had my Pokemon card.
I could hire an editor for that. I'd be living the good life. And so I used to collect a lot of that. Yu-Gi-Oh cards I used to play, a lot of that stuff. A neighbor kid across the street We used to play that all the time, and he was a big collector, so I had a bunch of those cards. And really then just baseball was my other one. But I was a kid. I didn't really understand. I didn't necessarily take care of my cards. They were more for to see what I could collect and play around with them. So that's the one thing that I kind of regret. And then as I got older, I just kind of fell out of the hobby. I just
Yeah.
fell out of collecting stuff. And now that I'm an adult with disposable income,
Yep.
now I'm like starting to get back into it because it's that, like you guys have said in the past, it's that nostalgia. It's
Yeah.
that excitement of opening up a pack to see what you get. And so I actually, behind me, and we'll talk about that later, I think, is a couple of my binders from a couple of the years that I actually put all my cards into binders and collected stuff. So I still got a little bit of that, but I know somewhere in my parents' basement is a box of baseball cards, Griffey Juniors, and a couple jersey cards and autograph cards that are there somewhere. I know they're there.
Yeah.
Just
We gotta
find
find them. We gotta find
Yeah.
them. That is an absolute must. You said you got out of the hobby. I think a lot of us did, kind of probably around the same age that you did. And it's like just this weird period where you're kind of becoming what your career is supposed to be, or you're figuring out what your career is supposed to be. So all the extra stuff, not saying that this is extra stuff, but if it wasn't your plan for your career, it kind of takes a back seat, right? Not only like collecting, but just anything that used to be kind of fun and extra was like, well, now I have bills I have to pay, and I have to figure out how to pay bills, and buying Pokemon cards or baseball cards isn't going to help with that.
You hit that point where you're a teenager and you don't want to be seen in Walmart in the the trading card aisle there that's right up front where everybody goes. So you kind of at that point then you stop buying them and time goes on and suddenly it's just back of mind sort of thing. And now the hobby is what it is now today, and people are collecting and selling cards for hundreds and thousands of dollars, and now it's kind of cool again. Now you walk by that
I
house,
was gonna say, I've said
and
this
nobody's
before.
there because it's empty.
Yeah, it's almost cool at this
Right.
point, right? I mean, I think it's cool for sure. I just like saying it's almost cool because I don't like to say what I'm doing is cool. So, but it's cool. It is way cool, honestly.
Well, it was especially during the pandemic when all that stuff. And again, I know you mainly sports cards, but I mean, you look at what happened with Pokemon cards and over the pandemic, and then you walk in the store and the whole aisle is just empty.
Yeah,
and they're
correct.
getting up in and they're limiting people to one pack per purchase, and
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
barren shelved for sports cards and Pokemon, really, and it was insane. I mean, it got violent in stores. Like, we still in the city of Las Vegas, it is hard to find any in stock on shelves in stores out here because it's too big of a city. There's too many people trying to get it, too much competition, and it's weirdly a dangerous thing, which is, I mean, come on, guys. Come on. But yes. Well, I know you said you have a bunch of questions for me. You're like, man, we've texted plenty, right? You're like, hey, explain this to me. Or, hey, just a quick question. Or, if I was to get this box, what could I expect? All those things. So I'm an open book right now. We're kind of doing like a interview, reverse interview. So throw them at me.
I've lobbied for this for an episode for the people, for the common folk.
You have.
And here I am. I'm getting it. So I guess my number one question, as somebody who is maybe looking to get back into it, who has some of these cards or like binders and things that are looking to maybe just kind of get their start into selling or seeing if they have anything worth it. Like, how would you go about looking at your collection to figure out if something's worth it, especially from somebody who mainly bought, from the aisles in Walmart, bought those kind of cards? I mean, is there anything that's worth, any sort of money these days that could have come from those packs back in, like, say, 2006 or whenever?
Sure. That's a tough question because, like you said, you bought mostly from retail, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with buying retail. You can hit big cards out of retail, right? But the positive about cards that go back that far is there's less parallels. You know what parallels is? Kind of like from Pokemon, where it's different variations of a certain card. There's less parallels back then just because the demand wasn't as high, and so they just didn't print as much, which is actually good, right? It makes the cards rarer. I would say the first start would be know the names that you're looking for first, right? Like I know you showed me Ryan Braun card, right? You could quickly search Ryan Braun on eBay and see if people are asking a lot of money for his cards or if they're asking not a lot of money for his cards. And at that point, if it's not a lot of money, it's probably not worth you going in and trying to find all your Ryan Brauns. Those are for you. That's for your PC, right?
Right.
That's number one. So pick names that you want to look for, like big names. You mentioned King Griffey Jr. earlier, right? At that point, you need to figure out, okay, what was King Griffey Jr.'s rookie year? Because rookies always sell for more than their second year all the way till their career ends, right? Rookie cards are always the most valuable. So you find out what his rookie year is. And then at that point, you're like, okay, do I think I have a 1983 Fleer King Griffey Jr. rookie card? Probably not. Maybe I do, right? I'll go find it. But I know I have a 1986 King Griffey, whatever it is, right? And you just kind of go from there. Rookie cards. So I would say find names that you want to chase, that you're looking for in your collection that you already have, right? And then rookie cards. And you can tell what a rookie card is usually when they have see that RC shield there on the top? That indicates rookie card. It's the same or close to the same on most products, baseball, football. All products kind of have a shield. And then the next step would be inserts. So if you have a cool, which that's what a lot of retail products have is cool inserts. Like this is a My House Jalen Hurts insert, right? And so then at that point you figure out, again, eBay, always eBay. So like, all right, let's see how much these My House cards are going for, right? Let's say you stumble across one of these in your collection. You go to eBay, you search. If people are asking for a lot or if they've been selling for a lot, go find all those in your binders. That would be the first three is names, rookie cards, inserts.
Probably next step would then be to get, let's say you do find something. So like I had mentioned, my Justin Verlander rookie.
Mm-hmm.
So probably want to wait a couple more years, see what happens is, the last few years of his career. But, then would the next step be to get that graded?
Yeah, so grading helps the value of every card that you get graded, right? If you can get, usually grading costs they're down to $18 a card now. But if you send it to someone to look at before they send in, it could be like $30 to send a card. If you can double what you pay for grading, it's worth grading, right? So the way you figure that out again is eBay or even 130point.com, which I haven't talked about much on the show. Maybe I'll show some 130point.com on the back end of this episode. But it's another place where it pulls sells from eBay and like PWCC and ComC, all the places that you can sell cards online to one database. And so like you could go in and you could type in, I don't know what year Justin Verlander's rookie is, but like whatever year tops Justin Verlander rookie card. And then you'll find the one that you have, click on it, and it'll give you the data for what it sold for recently, the last like 20 sales on different formats. And that will help gauge the value of what that card is. 130point.com, 130point.com.
Interesting. Because I was, even before the show started, I was kind of looking at some of that stuff when I found these binders to try to see. And, I was, when I was looking at to get cards graded, it was like $100+ a card. And I'm like,
it was insane grading for a little bit because people were sending in so many cards during the pandemic, right? Everyone was bored. So everyone had time to go through those binders that you have and find cards that they thought were valuable, and they sent them in. And that's kind of what happened with grading for a little bit was people were sending cards in that really shouldn't have been sent in, They were just cards that it meant a lot to the person. That card that they found, oh man, I remember when I had this card as a kid. This is awesome. This has to be worth so much money. When really it's like, $1.50 card because it's so common and not a rookie. And it's just a name that it's like a Mike Trout 5th year card. It's like,
Yeah.
That's not huge. That's not big, right? But people were sending those cards in, and then it became a time thing for the grading companies where, well, we have to increase the price so people stop sending as much.
Right.
And they've caught up now, and now it's back down to your normal range pricing where it doesn't break the bank to send a card in.
That's good to know because that's the reason I have it. I've been sitting on some of these cards, and I'm like, there's no way that me, who I don't even know if I'm gonna sell it anytime soon, I'm gonna drop $200-$300 to send 2 or 3 cards in.
It's wild. It's way too much.
So now let's say that I'm somebody who, is maybe looking to just flip a few cards, but not looking to spend a ton. Because I mean, like you showed in one of your breaks last week, the guy with the metal case for those cards. I mean, not looking to spend anywhere near that kind of money. If I were to go get, what are they called, blaster boxes? Are those like the retail ones?
Yep.
Or even like some of the lower end collectible or collector boxes. I mean, is there any money to be made with those that, they're on the cheaper end, but you can maybe find a couple cards worth selling?
Yeah, so when it comes to retail, like I was saying earlier you were like, oh, I just bought from Walmart. I said you can hit in retail. There are certain products, Select being one of them. I wish it's over there, my blaster, but Select being one of them, Mosaic being one of them, where the retail product has actually a pretty high desired chase card in there, right? So Mosaic has a Genesis, which you can only get in retail. You can't get it in hobby. And it's like it's a SSP, which stands for super short print. And it is one of those that the hobby loves because you can't really hit it that often. It's very, very few and far between. Select in their blasters have elephant and tiger cards. And so those are really easy to identify, right? You pull the card out and it looks like a tiger stripe with the player on it, right? Or it looks like elephant skin with the player on it. Those are the cards that you can get if you hit the right guy out of a $30 blaster, $50 blaster. It could be an $800, $1,000 card depending on the player, right? So that's something about flipping, but it's really hard to hit because they produce a lot of retail, right? They don't really limit how much retail they print. They do to an extent, but not the way that they do with certain hobby boxes, right? There's just a certain amount that they print for hobby. Retail, they kind of just keep flooding.
So, like, if you were to buy one of those blaster boxes, I mean, do you think that there would be enough, like, even lower end cards that you could sell to make your money back or make even $20-$30?
Yeah, so honestly, I've had a lot of luck with blasters. I think that if you're able to get the right product in 2020, for example, that quarterback class is insane. Justin Herbert, Tua, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, right? Those 4 quarterbacks are great quarterbacks, and quarterbacks sell. When I bought the first blaster of Select Football, I bought it at $55. Right, and I hit all sorts of stuff. I hit a blue checkerboard Joe Burrow. I hit a blue checkerboard Jonathan Taylor. Hit like an orange die cut Jerry Jeudy. I just hit a bunch of stuff. A lot of Jalen Hurts, a lot of Justin Herbert, and it was amazing. Like fast forward 6 months, the price kept going up on the blasters. And the last time that I was going to buy one, it was like $125 for the blaster, and I was like, well, I'm not going to spend that anymore because I probably won't make my money back on that.
Right.
So if you catch it at the right time, you pick the right draft class, right, where the rookies are nice, and you grab the right product. It's big to know the product. Then, yeah, blasters, generally you can get basically almost your money back most of the time. Now, I'm not, sometimes there's huge whiffs. You open it and you're just like, oh, no. But you'll get at least 1 or 2 nice cards. But most generally, yeah, there'll be enough cards you can almost make your money back. And then sometimes you get the big hits where you're making your money back times 3, times 4. So
I mean, there could always be the chance too that you find a rookie card of somebody that ends up having a great career if you hang on to it, right?
Correct. Yep. That's the other thing too is kind of if you hit a guy that is not super established yet, but it's his rookie card, and you think personally, oh yeah, he could be good, or you hear people say, yeah, he's a sleeper, then yeah, hold on to that card for a little bit.
Yeah, I was telling you, I've got to find it. I have it in a top loader that Daisuke Matsuzaka.
Yeah.
Because I remember when he was coming to the league, he was all the rage, and he had like 1 or 2 good seasons and just kind of fizzled out.
Dice
but
K.
yeah, he
What a
was
name drop.
that was the phenom of that year. It was
Yep.
crazy. And so when I pulled his rookie card, I'm like, well, that's going to be worth something. He's going to have a killer career, and he just it just fizzled right out. Nobody heard of him after that.
That's the reverse hold, right? So like there's guys that get hyped up, like Karis LeVert. I don't think you probably don't know who he is. He was supposed to be incredible 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, whatever it was. You hit a rookie card of his 4 years ago, you're like, oh wow, I'm gonna hold this. He's gonna be great. He's a can't miss. I'm gonna hold it. I'm not gonna sell it. Or you're like, okay, everyone is way hyped on this guy. Let me just move it now while his market is high. And if he sucks, then I won't be stuck holding the bag, if you will, right? And
Yeah.
so there's different. It's just so many avenues, and it's just all about reading the market. You mentioned your Justin Verlander rookie. When is he up for the Hall? Do you know? A
Well,
couple
he's
years.
still playing, so
He's still going to be active on a roster.
he just got traded to the Mets this year. So,
That's insane.
but he
You're right.
won Cy Young last year.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I know he did. I know. He's
yeah,
unbelievable. So
I
like,
mean, after coming off of Tommy John surgery, winning the Cy Young, I mean I was a
yeah,
baseball player, so Cy Young or Tommy John surgery was like my biggest fear. Because I
yeah.
did a report on it when I was in high school, and actually seeing images of what they do grossed me out, and so that was my biggest fear. So, but yeah, coming off of Tommy John surgery to have the year that he had last year, win the World Series. I mean,
Well, he's got a brand new arm now. That's why they rebuilt it.
what a career that guy has had. So I'm
He's got
excited
another.
to see.
He's got another 10 years now because he got a brand new arm.
That's right. That's right.
Well, so like him, right? He's going to retire in a couple years, you would think, maybe 2, 3, unless he Tom Brady's us, whatever.
Right.
That'd be a good one to hold until he retires if you wanted to part ways at the time. His retirement would spark interest in him in the market, so his cards would tick up. That'd be a time to move it, right? LeBron James is about to pass the all-time scoring record in the NBA he's going to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Get your LeBron James cards ready, list them because everyone's going to want them, right? So it's kind of about knowing the market and current trends and what's happening, even in like the real life sports world.
So then my last question for you is for somebody who maybe is looking at some of the collector boxes, but looking to get started, like I said, just maybe looking to flip, not looking to do bricks like you do, but where would be a good starting spot for that? Like what sort of products would you look at?
You want to go after the products that have a guaranteed auto, right? So you're going to get at least one autograph in the box. Prism's a good starting point. It's pretty high price point wise, but you can get Prism retail a little bit lower, and generally they have a guaranteed auto. I'm not sure if this year's did, but generally they do. So you can go back to last year, the year before. And then anything, if you have the budget, anything from like Luka Doncic year or Ja Morant year for basketball. For baseball, Shohei year, like Shohei's the hotness right now. Julio Rodriguez, right, which he's 2019. So in baseball, it's different, Nick. In baseball, their most valuable cards are actually their prospect cards. So it's the year that they got drafted. So just because Julio Rodriguez was a rookie in 2021, his most valuable card, not to say that his 2021s aren't valuable, but his most valuable are his 2019 cards when he got drafted. It's when they first create a card. It's their first card of them in a pro uniform, all that stuff. It even indicates it has a little like number 1 in the top corner. It says first on it. Yeah, so baseball's a whole different world. Like we could talk about baseball and how different it is collecting than the other two sports probably for a whole interview, for a whole 30 minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to, like
As
I said, my
enough.
biggest thing is finding the cards that I know that I have. Like I have a top loaded Prince Fielder, and it was one of his prospect cards.
There you go. Yeah.
And I know I've got that somewhere. I'm gonna have to find those.
Yeah, for sure. You got to do some serious digging. That's your homework.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think I didn't really answer the hobby box question well enough. Let me finish that. Guaranteed autos, right? Go after the boxes that have autos, and you can tell on the box it'll say, guaranteed or not guaranteed. It's Panini puts per box on average, right? Because sometimes it's super rare, but it's rare. I wouldn't say super rare. If you open up as much as me, it's rare. If you open up a lot less than me, it's super rare. Per box on average, 1 auto, right? Sometimes there's boxes that have 2 autos. Sometimes there's boxes that have 4 autos. The more autos, the more expensive the box, right? But Prism is a good start. That's a little high price point, but it's highly desired. Select is kind of a step below Prism. I personally like Select more because I call myself a broke boy collector, and Select is more in the line of my budget than Prism. And then Optic is a one probably a step below Select, right in the same range. So Optic, Select, and Prism are good. And then if you have the money, Flawless and National Treasures are like the bee's knees for basketball and football. Everything I just said is basketball and football. Like I said, baseball is totally different. Baseball, if it doesn't say Topps and it doesn't say Bowman, it's not worth it. It's not worth it because then it's not licensed product. And like the one you sent me, the Panini Capstone box, it's a debut product, but Panini doesn't have the MLB license to put logos on the cards. So they'll literally Photoshop the logo off the hat, your hat, my hat. It won't say Brewers on the player's chest. It'll just be a gray jersey. So obviously they're not as desired. You see your face, right? They're not desired. Yeah. You wouldn't want a card like that. I don't care if it's Ryan Braun. I don't care if it's Prince Fielder. You want to see the Brew stuff on it, the Brew Crew logos.
Because that box essentially was like $100 and something bucks, I think.
Yeah.
If I spend $150 on a box and I open it up, so like that's why this is important for somebody to know, because if I spent that kind of money on a box, open it up, and there were no logos on it, I would be irate.
Yep. So like you would be better off with like Topps Chrome Update Series, or just even like Topps Chrome Series 1. Topps, honestly, they had a debut product this year, Topps Chrome Cosmic. I think you would be into it because it has a feel of TCG type stuff like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a really cool design. I love it. It's got great artwork. There's there's a card that says Launched into Orbit, right? And it's like the guy's hitting a home run, and it's like around like Saturn's rings, or what is it? Saturn, whatever planet it is. It's a really cool set. I think that should be the one that you take down first. I think that's my vote for you.
There was a I think it's Topps, the Gypsy one.
Gypsy Queen.
Yeah, and I actually saw it. I was in a Walgreens, and I saw they had it like behind the cashier, and I almost bought it because it was only like $30 or something like that.
Yeah, Gypsy Queen is fun. The design of those cards are cool too. They're kind of vintage looking.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of good information, man.
Cool.
I feel like I'm ready to go. Get started. I'm gonna start flipping cards.
Yes, you're ready to collect and flip, but you're not ready to buy into breaks yet.
Not quite.
We're gonna talk about that on another episode for sure. Get people prepped to go into breaks.
I like to gamble, and I'm afraid that if I start doing that, we'll blow a lot of money.
Nick, let me tell you, it is gambling, and if you get hooked to gambling, it is a dangerous avenue to go down. So maybe it's best if you do stay out.
It's all right. More for you guys.
Yeah. No, I give myself an allowance, a breaking allowance, and I will not go over it. Just won't. Can't. That's how you get yourself in trouble. With yourself, with your friends, with your family, with everyone, with your landlord. Yeah, with your landlord, with your car's gasoline tank, with all of it. So, Nick, dude, thanks for joining. You finally got on. Like you said, you've been lobbying for the common man, and you made it happen. This was a lot of fun, and I do want to see some of the cards that you have. I hope you find the other ones that you are looking for. And yeah, dude, thanks. This was a good time.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me. It was great to be on. I'm already looking forward to editing this, but yeah, man, great show. Just keep up the good work, and thank you to everybody that tunes in week after week, because yeah, the show's killing it. So
sweet.
Love to see it.
Thanks. Happy editing, Nick. it's crazy what happened. I'm in shock. I have been telling people he's not going to sign. I've been telling people replace your redemption. So I'm the ass, right? But LaMelo Ball has signed his stickers that are on cards now. I'll show a couple that I took from a couple friends online. D-Long Collects Legacy Sports Cards. People are getting their LaMelo Ball redemptions back. I don't know how to feel. I have people that have been waiting for 19 months. Today I saw someone that had been waiting for 600 days for LaMelo Ball to sign. It's wild. It's a real life unicorn. Every time I've seen one online, I'm like, no, it's not real. No way, it's not real. No way, it's not real. But it is. Unicorns do exist in the form of LaMelo Ball sticker autographs. Wild. I just can't wrap my head around it. Cannot wrap my head around it. I just watched LeBron James become the all-time NBA scoring leader. Incredible. Salute to LeBron. I don't know how he's doing it at 38. Just salute to him. Unreal. Having a great season. He's just going to keep piling on the points now for at least a couple more years while he waits for Ronnie to get in the league. I mean, what a career. What a career. I don't know. I mean, there's nothing else you can say. The GOAT debate, whatever. I got LeBron back here. Jordan, Kobe. Those are the GOATs for me, right? I mean, there's a bunch of GOATs, right? Well, there can only be one GOAT. That's a whole different episode. We could talk for hours on that. So I'm going to cut myself there. Just incredible by LeBron. Salute to him. What a career. What a record to be broken. What a moment, right? Again, I want to thank Nick for his time. I know he's got a super busy schedule. And as he mentioned, he edits these episodes for us. So happy editing again to you, Nick. And, hopefully you have fun editing one where you are in the episode yourself. I know sometimes it's hard, like for me or other people, it's kind of hard to edit something that you are in. So good luck on that. But again, he asked some great questions. I think I answered them pretty well, to the best of my knowledge at least. And I think he got some good advice and kind of a better idea of where to start when you're looking at your old collection. Is anything worth anything? How do I figure that out? Where do I go from there? If I think it's worth something, do I send it for grading? All those things that he asked, I thought were great questions. And like I said, I tried to answer it as best I can. So that's going to do it for episode 10 of Throne Breaks. For LaMelo Ball, for LeBron James, for Nick Brose, and for myself, Al King. I'll see you next time. And as always, don't forget how awesome you are. Peace.